This story happened when I was 15 and totally reckless. I was with my best friend Alice and her neighbor Emily. We decided to try and enter clubs with fake IDs after discreetly going out of the house by the window. After getting rejected by the security guys at the clubs, because obviously we were not looking like 18-plus girls, we were wandering the streets not knowing what to do. It was around 1 a.m. The subway was closed, and we didn't have enough money to get a cab. Plus, we really wanted to party, and Alice wanted to find a new guy because she was heartbroken from her past boyfriend. The last club we tried to enter into was in one of the areas that had a famous bad reputation in the city. It was in Lyon, France. Then suddenly, a car stops next to us. The door opens, and there's 3 guys inside. 2 of them turn their heads and tell us, "Hey, pretty girls, come with us. We have everything you need to get some pleasure. We have some drinks. We can smoke. Come." The one at the back looked really muscular and was really insistent. Alice then said, "Let's go, girls. It could be super fun." Then she whispered, "Please, I need some fun. I need a guy to turn the page." She grabbed Emily's arm and went into the car laughing. At this point, I was like, what the hell am I doing? I would rather die with my friends than die alone in the streets. We all entered. In the car, they're trying to flirt with us, but I'm petrified. We say that we're 17, and they tell us that it's the perfect age to party with them. After 15 minutes of them driving, I don't know where around the city, they say they want to get some drinks, that they want to find a cool place. Alice is super happy. Emily and I are relieved they're going to drop us in a public place like a bar or a club, but they park the car in a car park in the middle of nowhere. We get out of the car and the guys take some bottles from the trunk, mix a lot of stuff inside the glasses, and then give them to us. The one who was driving stays in the car, hands on the wheel, not saying anything. The 2 guys start to tell us really inappropriate things, that they're going to take us to a hotel, and that we're all going to look like porn stars. Obviously for them, I look like Katsumi because I'm Asian. They were around 35, and we were all 15. They insist on saying how they would be the best hit of our lives, how they would be in beds, etc. Emily whispers to me that we shouldn't drink, but act as if we were drinking because there might be something inside. Alice starts flirting back and tells me it's kind of dangerous, but she likes it. At this point, they tell us they're never going to let us go unless we stay with them the whole night. I feel trapped, and they ask me to drink insistently. I finally do it, and I start to feel dizzy really fast. Everything is blurry around me. I think in a very incoherent way, and my stomach hurts. The guys are looking at me as if I was a prey, and they were hunting. After 10 or 15 minutes feeling like this, I tell Alice that we should go, and she doesn't look worried at all. I then think that I should sit inside the car, waiting for my fate to do its job. I open the front door, and there's still the guy who drove inside. He is listening to the radio and doesn't even look at me when I enter. I ask him, "Why aren't you with your friends?" He turns at me upset and says, "Hey, I don't know who you are, and I don't want to know. You told us you were 17. But you look like my younger sister, and she just entered high school. I don't know why my stupid friends are stupidly flirting with you, but I am just waiting for them to stop and drop the 3 of you off in a public place. Once it'll be done, I hope I'll never ever gonna see you again in my entire life." I was shocked and relieved. We stayed there, both of us, just listening to the radio and hearing the laughs of Alice to the bad sexual jokes of the muscular guy. I was so dizzy I was melting on my seat. After maybe 30 minutes, the driving guy said he wanted to go somewhere. Everyone came into the car. We sat in the car and went for a 10-minute ride, while the 2 guys were saying what they would do to us once we get to the hotel. Then the driving guy told them to shut up, and that he was dropping us on this big place with lots of people. We gave the 2 guys some fake names for Facebook, some fake phone numbers, and we finally got out of the car. The muscular guy who was at the back tried to grab Emily's arm, but she managed to run outside. They left. The driving guy looked at me just before and nodded at me. I was still super dizzy and eventually threw everything up. Emily didn't believe what just happened, and Alice was still laughing, saying it was insane. It was like 3:30 or 4 a.m., and we finally found a real party after. But to these two guys that wanted to do I don't know what in a hotel, let's not meet again. Or like the driving guy said, I hope I'll never ever gonna see you again in my entire life.
It happened during summer vacation when I was 11. Me and my parents always go to South India for at least 1 month to see the family. During the whole month of June, there is what we call in our little village the Mango Festival. It's a religious festival where divinities' statues are exhibited in parades. There is also a large alley filled all along with small temporary stands where people can buy lots of different stuff like street food, fruits, toys, clothes, and more at very cheap prices. My mom and I always go to these little stores in the evening at like 5 or 6 when it's already dark because going during daytime is just too exhausting with the unbearable heat plus the crowd. At that time, the alley is still very bright, enlightened by the stores and the decorative lights. That day, my mom decided to stop at a shoe flip-flop stand to buy me some pairs. The seller proceeded to show my mom the collections, and when he noticed my presence, he just locked his eyes on me. At the beginning, it did not bother me that much. I just thought that I might look like someone he knew, but he kept staring at me the whole time. He knew exactly the time to stare at me. When my mom was looking at my direction, he stops and then he stares back again when she looks away. It was obvious at that point, and it made me very uncomfortable. Eventually, we had to leave without buying anything, but the seller insisted that we should come back tomorrow because he had a new shipment or whatever new collections arriving. 2 days after, my mom called me to go to the festival stands, but I was reluctant to go with her this time. I told her I was genuinely tired and did not want to, but she yelled at me, saying that I am always lazy and wasting my summer vacation by staying home all day, so I went with her. Our first stop was at the cheap jewelry store. Then my mom made me do something that I always hated, but she did that all the time in order to help me with my shyness. She said, "Take my purse and go to the shoe stand by yourself and buy a pair that you like. I will be watching you from here." I refused at first, but she progressively raised her voice, and to avoid being humiliated in front of other kids, I did what she said. When he saw me approaching his stand, he welcomed me with his unsettling smile. He proceeded to show all the new sandals as I was his only customer. He even took the time to put the sandals on me by asking if it fits well. At that point, I just took whatever freaking shoe quickly to get out of there. And now it was the time for the checkout. I am still, stressed to order or talk to a vendor. I used to stutter a lot during these social situations, but this time it was different. It was not only stress, but there was also fear and this gut feeling saying that this man is strange and that I shouldn't be here with him alone. I handed him the money and was waiting for my change, but his demeanor suddenly changed. He became fidgety and showed frustration over the cash register. He then said that the cash register broke for some unknown reason and that it wouldn't open. I glanced outside to see if my mom was still watching me. She was still observing. When we made eye contact, she made a gesture with her hand telling me to hurry. She was observing at an angle, and as I was next to the cash register at the corner, I could not see her properly anymore. At the same time, the seller told me that he had another cash register in his trailer. He then took my money and went to his trailer. It was a sort of open shop, so you could see his trailer if you are right in front of the shop. He went inside his trailer for a long time. I could hear voices of another person inside. They were talking, but I could not get what they were talking about. So for like 10 minutes, I was just standing there waiting awkwardly and peeking back at my mom occasionally to notice her of my presence at the checkout. Then another client entered the shop and was looking at the merchandise. She asked me where the vendor is. I told her he was in the trailer. At the sound of our conversation, the vendor peeked from the trailer window and said to the woman, "We don't take any more clients, ma'am. We are closing soon." The woman left soon after. It seems strange that he decided to close so suddenly and so early. It was only 6 p.m., and usually the shops close late at 8 or even 9. I couldn't leave. I was still waiting to get my change back when the vendor peeked from his trailer's window and said that he finally managed to get my change. Then he made a sign with his hand as if to say, "Get inside." I was unsure about what he wanted, so I said nothing and waited where I was awkwardly. After a short moment, he peeked back and said, "You can come now." I was confused. Why couldn't he just come outside and give my change back? And why the hell did he take so much time? I didn't say anything. Instead, I peeked back outside to see my mom. When she saw my concerned face, she finally decided to come and help me. I said to the seller, "Actually, I'm waiting for my mom." When my mother entered the shop, the seller got out of his trailer almost immediately and handed my change back. He was not frustrated anymore, but smiling and very talkative. He even asked my mom if we were from here, to what she responded that we were from France and we were spending the summer vacation in our hometown. My mom and I went to other shops, but I could still see other clients coming to the shoe shop even though he said he was going to close soon. By the time my mom finished her shopping, it was 8 p.m., and on our way back I could still see lights from his shop. When we got closer, I could even see that he was using the same cash register that was supposed to be broken. At that age, I didn't realize how creepy this whole thing was. It just seemed odd and awkward. Years later, I finally realized that his gaze, his behavior, and his touches were all so wrong. And that night, I bet his intentions were even worse. Luckily, that night was the last time I ever saw him. During the festival of the following year, I couldn't find his stand anymore. The slot was occupied by a street food stand. So yeah, creepy shoe seller, let's never meet, please.